Hey guys, it's Paul Trimmer here from Puerto Vallarta. Today we're talking with a real estate attorney on the risks of buying pre-construction. You know, in PV we've had such a booming market over the last few years that when buyers come here to buy, there's not a lot of options in terms of the resale market, you know, or they sell really quickly. And there's been a lot of new construction, so buyers have kind of, to get what they want, have had to buy pre-construction. I would say maybe 60 to 70% of my sales are in pre-construction. I've done other videos on this topic about, you know, things to think about when buying pre-construction, but today's video is about the risks. What do you really need to know before you buy pre-construction? You know, historically here, over the last 5 years, people have done very well in pre-construction, with the market having gone up a lot, but also when you buy into pre-construction, you're getting good prices because you're putting money down and you're waiting. You're essentially helping the developer fund the project. Now, often they have other sources of money to build anyway, but you're putting money in early and you get discounts on that. So with that, plus the market going up, people have done very well. But anyway, let's go talk with Orlando. He's one of my go-to lawyers about this topic, and then we'll touch base at the end of the video. Alrighty, so we're here with Orlando, a very well-established real estate attorney here in Puerto Vallarta, and we're talking risks of pre-construction. So what does a buyer really have to understand if they're about to buy pre-construction?
Well, the first thing that, you know, when you buy pre-construction is that there is a risk. There is always a risk because you're buying basically something that is not there. So, you know, so there is a risk involved with it, and because there is a big risk, there is a big gain. Okay, so it works the same that in any other business. You know, when like some sort of like if you're gambling, but you're not gambling. Because of real estate, you do have some elements that will some sort of minimize that risk, okay? And that's what you have to look for when you're buying pre-construction. The first and most important to me, and I always recommend my clients, is you have to check if the developer has done some other, you know, developments in town or in any other cities in Mexico. Also, lately what I've been advising clients is that, like, for example, if they're going to buy a pre-construction in an area which is considered like, you know, near to a protected environmental area or things like that, they should just be careful and just double check on those things, because in the past 2 years, our government has been strengthening those permits, and even if they get the permits already, if they consider they do not meet all the environmental requests, then they could stop, for example, the construction. Okay, so to answer your question, yeah, there is a risk, and the way to minimize that risk is by just checking on the background of the developer, also checking all the paperwork. You know, like that's part of our job. When people ask me about like, can you check this contract? Usually, what we do is we make sure that what they are saying in the contract is accurate, and that they have the information. Do they really own the land where they're going to build? Okay, who is the owner of that land? If that is a developer, okay, that is already a big plus, because that means they do have the money to, you know, get the land. Sometimes what they do is they create a trust, an administration trust, where they go to a landowner and they offer them like, okay, so you own this land. Basically, you know, we're gonna create a trust. You're gonna put that land into a trust, and then we're gonna ask a loan to the bank, and the rest of the money we're just gonna get credited with the first sales we make. Okay. In that case, I always, I am like, you know, like you have to consider that if you don't sell, you might get a delay on that matter. So it's a case. I would say I would just, whenever I get asked this question, I said I need to see what's the case, you know, because it's very different. It can be very different from one development to the other. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. And just so your real estate firm looks over contracts for pre-construction.
Yeah, we do look for them, and then we have to just, what we do is we basically do a title search on the land that they are doing, or they are doing the construction, and we usually, we always do is we also find we also check backgrounds of the developer, like what the developer has made, some sort of their resume, what they've done before, or if they've been, they have developed success, they have developed successful developments around town or something like that. Because it's a very right now it's a booming business, so everybody wants to be part of it. We all want to be part of it. But yes, there are some people who just don't have the experience to it, and you might have the money, but if you don't have the experience, or you don't know how to do it, then I usually tell my client, well, it is your money, so it is yours to decide. But if it would be mine, I wouldn't go there.
Right.
Or the opposite. I said, I would go there. I mean, I have bought myself pre-construction. I know the risk, and so right now nothing has gone south yet for me.
Okay, cool. And so there's a new contract out, isn't there? A Profeco contract that it protects buyers even more than the previous contracts that were used.
Oh yeah.
How much protection does that contract? What real protection does that contract give?
Well, the real protection and the most important is you have Profeco behind you, like you have Profeco on your back. So that means Profeco is, of course, Consumers Protection Agency, Federal Consumers Protection Agency. So they do have the infrastructure. So in case, for example, a development goes bad, or they don't build it, then you as a buyer, with that contract in your hands, you can go. You don't have to spend money in lawyers like me to just get to sue on that, because you already have that contract, and with that contract, you will have to hire a lawyer if you don't speak the language, if you don't speak Spanish, just to go and make it. But you don't have, the lawyer doesn't have to do what Profeco's job would be, which will be to make that contract that they sign with you valid. Okay, and then also another good thing about the Profeco contracts it's the warranty. Okay. Because Profeco it's created on a law, on a federal law, which is of ley federal. It's Consumers Protection Federal Law. So because it does create on that law, so that supersedes any local legislation. So that means you are protected all over Mexico, right? And in that law, it says in the chapter referring to real estate, that every developer who is building and selling real estate, they have to warranty to the buyer. They specify certain warranties. Okay, so 5 years warranty on the structure. So they have to have. So you as a buyer, if you sign a Profeco contract, it's amazing because you are protected for 5 years, which in the previous contracts or local legislation only gives you 1 year, and in Nayarit they give you only 6 months. So you can see the difference: 6 months in Nayarit, 1 year in Jalisco, versus 5 years using the Profeco contract. Okay, and then for things like leakings, like you get your unit, beautiful, you're very happy, and then it start leaking. Okay. In the Profeco contracts, you got 3 years for that. So you get 3 years warranty. In our in the regular contracts, or the contracts we used to have, you don't really have a warranty on leakings, because the warranty applies only to structural problems. So if you have a leaking, you will have to rely on the good faith of the developer to just because you as a buyer, and then within 1 year you start getting a leaking, you call the developer and say, listen, my unit is leaking. Some developers, because they want to protect their name, they will fix it for you. But it's not like they surely not obligated by law. Versus this new contract where they are obligated by law to do it. And if they don't do it, then they will face Profeco's lawyers. And those are some of the lawyers that you don't want to mess with.
And then also talk a little bit about, there's a bond. So when a development gets their permits, they have to give money to the government that's held as a bond?
Yeah, they don't really give them money to the government. They're bond companies, so they have to get a bond from those companies, and that bond will protect. So for example, it's easier to just give examples. So let's say a developer, it's going to build something like in Old Town, right? And then when they are getting the permits, they have to put in some of the requirements, the government, the municipality asks them how much is the project gonna cost, okay? How much are you gonna spend in the project? So they, for example, they would say, well, I will spend 50 million pesos, okay? So they have to put a bond which covers 50 million pesos, okay? Because the government, in order to give the permit, they have to be, they have to make sure, because of what local civil law says, that they have to protect, affected third parties. Affected third parties will be the buyers, The only thing as a buyer, because when I explain this to clients, they say, so I get my money back. I'm like, not really, you don't get all of it, because if something goes bad and you can claim that bond only covers what the developer told the government, that is what's the construction of the place. But the construction, so if something gets built and gonna cost 50 million pesos, they're gonna sell it for maybe, I don't know, 150 million pesos, So does that make sense? They're gonna give I think in what I'm trying to say is, they're gonna give to the buyer just a percentage of what they pay.
Right.
Okay, so they're not gonna get all the money back. The rest of the other money, they'll have to fight it in court, or if they do have a Profeco contract, then they have to use the Profeco lawyers to get it back.
If a buyer gets to the point where they have to sue the developer, is that a really challenging process here? Is it expensive? Is it better to walk away or fight?
If you have suing in our country is very difficult, whatever type of lawsuit, because or we have civil law. You guys are used to common law. Common law, it's very different. You have a lawsuit. Your law system is very practical. Okay, our law system is very impractical. It works, in its own way, but it's very impractical, and it takes a lot of time. Justice is served, but just takes way more time than it takes in your countries. Okay, like in countries with common law. So, in cases like this, yes, we do have litigation lawyers that will build a case, and I would say if you have several owners, you can all do like a class lawsuit, so against the developer. Most of the time, when there is a developer that is like new or something like that, they usually, I have heard very little cases when somebody just take the money and run. I probably didn't hear like maybe one case, and it happened like in Nayarit, but in this area, I never have heard of that, like just taking the money and leaving, because for the developers, it's very important to maintain their reputation, because they want to keep doing business in town, So they usually, when they do, in the ones that I know that have gone bad, they usually get an agreement with the buyers, with some of them, like, for example, when we have that huge storm last year, it was 2 years ago, where some of the things were destroyed, they offer their buyers, like, we don't have this because this is gone because of an act of God. But listen, even if it's not my fault, and if it was an act of God, I'm offering you that the money you gave me, we can use it to this project.
Right.
So just an example. I think we have some of examples here on Waller River that they did that. And so, I wouldn't say it won't happen, because I don't know, but it's very unlikely that happen, because the developers usually try to defend their names. And another thing to minimize risk is, when you're buying, just check that the listing agent is also a reputable agency, because a reputable agency in town, like the ones that are the major players, they usually have their own in-house lawyers who internal, so they have been, review, and they know who they're dealing with. They know who the developer is. They have done their homework, and who they are, where the money comes from, what are the business they have. So it's usually the best, to me, another way to minimize risk in buying pre-construction, saying who the listing agent is.
Right. Okay, cool. All right, and so recommendations to a buyer, they're thinking to buy pre-construction, they should do all look at the project and decide which unit, etc. And then have their contract reviewed by a lawyer.
By a lawyer, yeah. Just ask the lawyer, because if you tell the listing agent to review the contract, they'll tell you, yeah, it's great.
An independent lawyer.
Usually the developers, because you also have to, I understand both sides because I also work with developers and I also work with buyers, you know. So when I'm working with some of the developments, I understand the developer's concerns because they're saying, well, I'm putting all this money, all this effort. So they usually try to make their contracts very favorable to them. So every time you see a contract for a developer, for you guys, it's almost laughable because it's like what? Like, okay, so I have basically no rights on this contract, you know, and some, but things have changed, I have to say, in the past 2 years, the contracts that I've been reviewing, the trend is to be more, to give more, you know, to give more protection to the buyers. In the past, it was just crazy, like, I was just like, yeah, leave it or take it, like, this is what we have, and, you know, but now more and more, they are big, and also because of Profeco, right? Because now Profeco obligates every developer to do these contracts. If they don't do it, they could get huge fines, like fines were in the millions of pesos if they don't comply with it.
Yeah.
So
awesome. All right, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Alrighty, what do you think? So I hope that video added some value and insight. You know, you can see that yes, pre-construction does come with risks. One of the options is, you know, when you're buying pre-construction, they give you a couple of different payment plan options. One is put 80% down now and 20% at delivery, and that's higher risk because you're putting a lot more money into the project. Or there might be 30% down now, you know, 50% split in monthly payments, and then a portion, the rest at delivery. So you can always do a more conservative payment plan as well to limit the risks. So yeah, I hope that video was beneficial. If you have any questions about pre-construction, or you think pre-construction could be for you, please get in contact. I'd love to hear from you. And of course, if you're thinking of buying real estate in PV and making this your retirement destination or vacation destination, also please get in contact with me. And don't forget to join my newsletter that has all the latest listings and new developments on it. So you can go to my website and join up to my newsletter there. Awesome. Thank you for watching this video through to the end, and I hope it provided some value. Bye. Hello, I'm Paul Trimmer from the Paul Trimmer Real Estate Agency here in beautiful Puerto Vallarta, and I love to help buyers buy real estate in this fantastic place. If you're looking to maybe purchase real estate in Puerto Vallarta to have your Mexican dream come true, please get in contact with me. I'd love to help you out. If you'd like to start with a Zoom call and we can chat over any questions you have, and of course please join my newsletter at www.paultrimmer.com/newsletter. That has all the latest listings and new developments, including in price brackets and neighborhoods. So it's a great way to get educated on the market. Paul Trimmer Real Estate Agency has the systems and processes to help you safely buy here in beautiful Mexico.